Hi everybody, welcome back to Mando Lessons. This is the first video in a series of lessons on adding double stops to your playing. Double stops are a great way to sort of fill out a melody if you feel like you've kind of gotten stuck in playing single line melodies. And you want to sort of add in a little more rhythmic and different sounds and make it sound like this. That's what these videos are going to be about. So, we're going to be using a tune called Flop-Eared Mule, which I've made a lesson for over at mandolessons.com, where there's also tabs, standard notation, and chords to play along to. But I recommend you learn it by ear. I'll put a link right here, as well as in the description of this video. So if you haven't learned the tune already, I recommend going and checking out the video, learning it, and then it'll sort of make what I'm going to talk about in this video a lot more relevant. So that tune is in the key of D. I'll play through it once, just as a simple melody, and then I'll play through it once, adding in some double stops, and you can sort of keep your ear open for the difference and sort of try to notice different things about the sound. So, single melody sounds like this. And then, by playing more than one string at a time, I'm going to sort of widen out my pick hand to hit a couple strings at a time. And I'm going to sort of make my right hand get into this little kind of motor mode that I think of, where rather than just playing dum 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 dum, my right hand's just going to get this constant motion of duga chaka duga chaka duga chaka duga chaka duga chaka, and then that sort of adds a lot of rhythmic and sort of melodic variation to the tune, and it sounds like this. So it's the same notes in the melody, but I'm just adding in other strings, mostly open other strings, below the melody, and then it comes out like this, and then I'll jump into how to do this. 1, 2, 3. So as you can hear, it's a very different sound. They both have their place. There's no right or wrong way to play, but a lot of people are interested in learning how to play double stops, so I figured I'd make a series on it. So in this lesson, we're going to just sort of focus on the first couple steps. The first being just sort of getting your right hand moving, because in order to get this sort of more rhythmically interesting sound, you need your right hand just to have this constant motion. So we're going to start that by just taking our left hand and muting the strings, so all we get is this dead sound when we pull our pick across the strings. And we're just going to get this this little groove going in our right hand, and it sounds like this. So you have this strong beat kind of in the middle. Wooga chaka, wooga chaka, wooga chaka, wooga chaka, wooga chaka, wooga chaka. And we're just going right across all the strings. And just getting so that movement feels really, really comfortable, and kind of, you don't have to think about it, is a really great way to get into this. So then let's add in some notes. Maybe just the two highest strings, the A and the E strings. And we're just going to go down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Wooga chugga, wooga chugga, wooga chugga. Down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Nice. So that's another part about sort of learning to do double stops, is learning what strings you should be hitting at any given time. So flop-eared mule that we just learned, that we're going to be using, is in the key of D. The first part's in the key of D, and the second part is in the key of A. And these keys, along with the key of G, G, D, and A, are very sort of the most common keys to find fiddle tunes in. D major, A major, G major, and you'll find a lot of tunes in these keys from a bunch of different styles, whether it's Irish or old time or French Canadian, you name it. They lay out well on fiddles and mandolins, so they're common. So, as I said, the A part is in the key of D in flop-eared mule, and often in the key of D. Really safe strings to hit are your D and A strings. So getting that little right hand motor going and only hitting the D and A strings. And really getting that stress in there, that sort of strong third beat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 is really going to add a lot more groove, because if all the notes have the same sort of intensity, it doesn't quite have the same groove as. So getting used to just kind of hitting two sets of strings at any given time is going to be really helpful. So, for example, knowing that in the key of D, these D and A strings are going to be sort of safe strings to hit. If you hit the G string, it's going to sound a little out. And if you hit the E string, it's also going to sound a little bit out. So, for example, that first phrase, what we can do is, focusing on two sets of strings at a time, our melody is starting on the E string, 2nd fret, and we know the A string is a safe string, so we can go through both sets of strings. And then the next note, 5th fret on the A string, and we know that D string is a safe note, so we have, and then this little run on the A and D strings is on the A, is on the D. So for that little sort of more scalar line, it kind of uses a scale. What we can do is just play through the A and D strings the whole time. So let's practice that little line. So the melody is switching strings. It's on the A string there, and our D string is our double stop string that we're hitting open. And there's no kind of wrong sounding note in there. And then when our melody switches to the D string, our open string that we're playing switches to the A string. And there's some crunchy sounds that you get out of this, like the 5th fret of the D string in the open A. It's not the most sort of melodious sound you've ever heard, but it kind of works itself out once you complete the phrase. You have that little moment of crunch resolved to a pretty consonant open sound. So let's get that first phrase again, with the 2nd fret on the E and the open A, 5th fret on the A, open D, and then open D and A while you play this next scalar line. That last line again. So what you're essentially doing with that last line is your right hand, rather than switching strings, A string, A, then D string, A, D, D. Your right hand is just hitting A and D the whole time. Ya, ba, da, 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 dum. Ya, ba, da, 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 dum. What we've been doing so far is we're just using the open D and A strings underneath the melody. And I guess when we move to the lower part, the A string is above the melody, but it still sounds good because the melody is going ya da dum, and our drone note is going ya da da, ya da dum. And what you want to really kind of focus on when you're doing this is you never want the other string you're playing to play out sort of stronger or louder than the melody note. Because if it plays out louder and it sort of takes over, you lose the melody. Like if I were to go, some of the notes aren't like, if you're hitting the A string harder than you're hitting your second fret, it can make your open A string sound like the melody, and then it's no longer the tune. So you really want whatever note your melody is, to be the strongest note that's coming out. And that just comes from right hand training and sort of knowing where the melody is. And also sometimes choosing not to play a double stop. If you play a double stop the whole time, which we're sort of doing at this point just to get the idea across, it can be a little bit muddy. That can be a little bit muddy, and it's kind of hard to tell the melody, both because I'm hitting double stop strings all the time and because my right hand is always going wooga chugga wooga chugga wooga chugga. But if we sort of take out little bits, and then add in a little bit of that right hand, wooga chugga wooga chugga. So by balancing all those different components together, you'll get sort of a good feel of what you can and can't do, and you can really use your ears. There's a lot of different choices for what double stop notes are going to work well with your melody. So experiment around. Try if you, for example, you try that E string when you get to the lower part of that phrase. Again, it kind of takes over the melody, and that E doesn't really ring out well in the key of D. Or if you play the G string, it's not quite as focused as you're just playing the D and A strings. So as a general guide, and again, there's always ways to break the rules in exciting ways, is in the key of D, your D and A strings, your middle two sets of strings, are kind of safe. And it's a good place to sort of jump into widening out your right hand, getting that right hand motor groove. You can also just play that D scale. But having your right hand hit both sets of strings at all times. Thickens up the melody. So that's you can use that to get through the whole tune. So for the whole A part, it would sound something like this. And again, there's no one right way to do it, so I'm not going to sort of go through note by note, but just knowing that the D and A strings are safe strings in the key of D is really helpful. So and then and maybe adding in a little bit of that right hand motor. That'll sort of get you going in a good start to getting some double stops going. And now I don't know if I mentioned this yet or not actually, but the B part of this tune is in the key of A. I might have mentioned that, I might not have. And so your safe notes in the key of A are A and E. So your safe notes in the key of D, the middle two sets of strings, D and A, and your safe notes in the key of A are A and E. And that's handy because we've got A and E open strings, and we've got D and A for the key of D. So the B part, the B part, let's see. What we can do there is just play A and E strings together, widening out our right hand. And this is where you can be a little selective, because if you widen out your right hand for those first two notes, or the first four notes, I guess, you kind of lose the melody, because the melody is going bum, 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 and those are your open strings, so if you play them both, where's the melody? It's hard to hear. So as an exercise, try just single notes, and then drop in your double stops for the scalar line. So with that second part, what I'm doing there is just playing A and E strings together while fretting the melody. Back to single notes, back to double stops. And that's, so you're using the same sort of idea, just you have different safe notes of A and E in the key of A. And then you can throw it all again using your right hand. Adds a little bit of rhythmic excitement to the mix. Real quickly, just because it won't take long, the key of G. We haven't really talked about the key of G yet. We've talked about the key of D and the key of A. The key of G is the same principles. Let's use Flop-Eared Mule, just starting on a different string. So rather, the A part, which is in the key of D, starts on the E string, 2nd fret. We have our safe strings of D and A. If we move that down just as an exercise, so it starts on the 2nd fret of the A string. That's the melody in the key of G, just as an exercise. And in the key of G, you can use your G and D strings as your safe notes. So again, you want your melody to ring out, so just sort of keep an ear open for that. Etc. If you kind of play through too hard, then you can start to lose the melody. But that's the sort of the bulk of it, is getting that G and D strings running for the key of G, the D and A strings for the key of D, and A and E for the key of A. Again, playing in the key of G, G and D strings are safe. Key of D, D and A, key of A and E. So that's sort of a quick primer on how to get your right hand opened up and get into some double stops. Thanks for watching. If you like this lesson, there's a bunch more lessons over at mandolessons.com, and you can check them all out over there. There's a bunch of tunes and stuff, as well as some ways to donate if that's what you're choosing. But they'll always be free. So thanks for watching. Hope to see you again soon. Bye-bye.